Hey there, Nancy here. And today's topic is something that is pretty epic, and actually has the chance to kind of change your life, maybe in a certain way. Could be something you never really thought too much about, but you might not know. But there's actually been a study going on at Harvard. In fact, it's actually one of the longest running studies that's been taking place. And it is, I think at this point, it's over about 74 years, I think. And it's all about what makes us happy and, identifying happiness in humans and things like that. And so this study, I just think it's very fascinating because part of being happy, right? I know as humans, a lot of us are seeking and searching for happiness. Part of it is in our control, and some of it is not, right? Some of us are predisposed, to certain things, and maybe genetically, we're actually just a little bit happier. I know that sounds strange, but it's true. And then half of it is actually in our control, right? And the chief determinant of happiness, it all comes down to this one thing. And I just thought it was really pretty fascinating as I learn more and more about it. So, if you watch this video, I'm going to be sharing with you one of the things that really helps to create happiness in people's lives. I'm going to actually break it down, share some tips on how you can actually improve that, some ideas, and even more. So, stay tuned. Also, please make sure to hit subscribe because I'm definitely going to share more random videos like this and all different things. And then also, I have a link in the description below. If you guys want to follow along in the journey, right? I'm starting this YouTube channel from scratch, which means, I mean, literally, I'm starting from zero. And if you want to follow along and get some special access to behind the scenes videos, just me sharing full transparently how I have learned what I know up to this point, basic video editing tips, equipment, all kinds of different things. Please just sign up and you guys can come along for the journey. And you can also obviously share feedback as well. So, with that in mind, already I received some feedback from a wonderful viewer and friend. And one of them was to share, if I use something in the video. So, for example, I actually have this, which is actually O'Keefe's lip repair. I use it all the time. In fact, I think my mom originally gave this to me. O'Keefe's actually makes really, really good lotion. So if you have cracked or dry skin on your hands, it's absolutely epic. It's called Working Hands, I believe. But anyway, so this chapstick, or lip balm or whatever you want to call it, is O'Keefe's Lip Repair Cooling Relief Lip Balm. And it's guaranteed relief of extremely dry and cracked lips. And I have dry and cracked lips every winter without fail. So anyway, this stuff does the trick. So keep it next to your desk. Make sure you have one in your, pocket, purse, or car. Super awesome. So anyway, so what I'm going to be diving in today, all right, drum roll, okay, is the importance of relationships. Okay. So this whole study that I just mentioned, with Harvard, deep diving into what makes us happy, the chief determinant of happiness is personal connection. Okay. Personal connection. So building those relationships with other people, other humans. Okay. Zac Efron had a show. In fact, I think it's still, I believe, on one of the networks. I think it's on Netflix, maybe, but I totally highly recommend you check it out. But Zac Efron, who's an actor, had a show that, and one of his episodes was that the longest living people lived in this beautiful close knit community. And it was just this community of just amazing people. And they all lived to like the ripe old ages of 90 plus. And I can't remember exactly where it was, but I remember thinking, like, wow, okay, that's one of the great, puzzles of life. And that's one of the big things whenever it comes to, people. That we need to be with other people, and community is huge. Okay. So I want you guys to start thinking about the relationships, in your life right now. Could be spouses, significant others, family, friends, social circles, right? I'm a huge advocate for, I don't feel that everybody needs to do all the cookie cutter things, right? You don't have to get married and have kids and, do all these other things. You could just be single and living it up and all those great things. But, keep in mind that those relationships, whether it be with, again, family, friends, other people in your social, those are still so incredibly important. Okay. No matter what, where you're at in life or what you choose to do. So the main goal overall is to strengthen the bonds with other people, right? We want to trim the negative and toxic people out of our life. I mean, I'm a firm believer that people do change, but there's also, on the other hand, there's a lot of people who are just so deep in the way that they are. And so it's going to take a lot for them to change. And, you shouldn't be that person who's going to have to help them through every little, bit of that. So you just want to make sure that you're protecting your energy and you're hanging out with people and being around people that, build you up and actually make your life better rather than bring you down. In fact, quick story. I actually, there's been several people, in my life that I just realized that every time I was around them, I started getting, I don't even know what the right word is, but my energy would just be off. I would literally feel like I was drained every time I hung out with them. And, I can't really pinpoint again the exact word, but it just felt like exhausting to hang out with them. And it also felt like, really that person was not in line with my core values. They were very negative about a lot of things and complained about a lot of things and just, everything. It was usually me saying, hey, well, let's look at it this way, or hey, let's, trying to make the best out of the situation. And, again, you can't sometimes you can't change people, but if you find yourself around those types of people, and unfortunately, could be people in your family, could be, people who maybe have been friends with you for a while, but if you find yourself feeling that way, just keep that in mind. And the goal is, again, is to, broaden your circles, meet more friends, be around people who fill you up and really help you, improve and grow that energy and be the best version of yourself. So if you have those energy vampires or people who are toxic, just take note of that. Okay. Because that really does affect you and your energy in your life. So anyway, goal is, right, we want to broaden our circles. We want to get out there. We want to find like-minded people, especially now in life. In fact, I always thought, I'm like, man, I'm in my 30s right now. And it's like, how do you find friends and not be strange about it? Like, how can you actually get out there and meet new people? Because I know that I'm a different person now than I was years ago. Okay. I'm a different friend. I have done so much work. I was not a good listener, right? I did not communicate very well. I was definitely in my own way. I was very selfish in a lot of things that I did. So I'm a different friend now. I think I could be such a better friend than I was then. So anyway, if you're watching this and you're feeling like, yeah, I want to figure out how to find friends and what can I do with friends and, what are some tips on how I can be a better friend? Keep watching, right? So I want to challenge you. Okay, so back to what we were talking about. I want to challenge you to think of the people who you'd like to strengthen your relationship with in your life. In fact, I listened to a podcast episode where a woman shared how she actually methodically kept in touch with friends and had a calendar that she booked out in advance with times to connect with her friends. And I'm an analytical thinker. I'm someone who loves to plan. I like to organize. I definitely have ADHD. So I'm always I need to write things down and map it out for me to make it happen. And I loved her methodical approach to this, where she actually went in her calendar and her planner and she said, all right, I want to hang out with these people this year. So I need to intentionally plan out time to hang out with them, at least once a quarter or something like that. So I just love that because, again, it is intentional. It's getting it on the calendar. How many people do you talk to and they're like, oh, sorry, I'm busy, or, oh, I can't do this. And then you never hang out with them. And then a year goes by and you still haven't hung out with that person. So I love this approach. I'm going to actually share some tips, like I mentioned at the end, to kind of action plan, right? How we can action plan this a little bit. But anyway, I want you to start making this a priority. How can you be a better friend, and how can you make it a priority to connect and strengthen relationships with others in your life? Okay. And I don't care, guys, if you have kids, if you don't have kids, if you feel that you are just busy all the time. Okay. We make time for what we find important. And there's only so much time that we have on this earth. Okay. And I just get so passionate and fired up about that. How would you feel if you went to hang out with someone, you said, I can't do that. And then that person's gone. Okay. So I know that's kind of like morbid, but those things happen all the time. We lose friends. I mean, in fact, one of my brother's childhood friends, we were just kind of talking about him, and I was talking to my mom about him, and I went on his Facebook to see where he was, and he had actually passed away at the end of last year from cancer. And that again, it hit me really hard because I was like, you know, it's just, I don't know. Life is so short. Okay. So the other thing that I want to kind of put out there as well is, a fun fact is even at work, right? You can have relationships. And they did in this study, when people have a best friend at work, they found that more people have more job satisfaction. So I thought that was pretty cool. But anyway, so what I want you to do is write down and think about what you're looking for in a friend. It could be fun, loves art, loves music, foodie, someone who, has the same core values as you. I actually, told you I was going to share products and different things, but there's actually a deck of cards made by Bestself, and it's called the core values. And I actually had that deck, and I went through tons of cards. It was like 100 different cards. And I had my husband and we actually went through and picked our top core values. But, think of those things. Like, who are those types of people you can connect with? Just to kind of like, again, kind of like touch on that whole aspect of things. You guys could have a significant other. You could be in a relationship, but I'm a huge it's so important that you have things outside of your relationship that bring you joy and make you happy. Okay. I heard this put once years ago. I think it was like Oprah or something like that. She said, your life is like one big salad where, your lettuce is your relationship with your closest, significant other or the person you're with all the time. And then on top of that salad, you've got, maybe some carrots, and that could be your family. And then maybe you want to have a few tomatoes, and that could be friends. And then you've got some croutons, that could be work friends. So anyway, the whole point is there's a lot of different relationships and friendships and things like that that make up your life. And that's where a lot of people find joy and happiness and all those things. And I think a lot of relationships are really strained and they struggle when that person tries to look to their partner for all those answers, just to use an example, like I love to enjoy live music. I mean, we're talking like any day of the week, you call me up, you want to go see live music, I'm there. Okay. Maybe my husband doesn't want to do that. So it's okay, to have a friend who maybe might enjoy those types of things. My mom loves to go antiquing and thrifting. Oh my gosh. I don't know what happened, but I hit the age of like 30 and I stinking love it. I never liked it before. I always thought it was so boring, but I enjoy it so much. So that's something that I love to do with my mom. So anyway, so write down what you're looking for in a friend, write down those different things, and be intentional, right? With exactly, who you want to build, foster, grow relationships and who you're looking for. Now, the next topic I'm going to dig into is, how to find friends. This is one of the biggest questions I get all the time. I talk to people all the time. I know a lot of people who are either single in their 30s or 40s. I know people who are, in relationships and they're still asking this question. And that is, how do I find friends, after college or after high school or after, whatever? How do I find friends now? And there are many different ways that you can do this. And, it does require you to put yourself out there. So if you're planning on just being like a little introverted and not, wanting to get out there, yes, you can make friends virtually. I will say that, you can have in fact, I have a ton of online friends, love them dearly, and I don't live close to them. So this is the only way that we can connect. But you can find friends locally by doing things like joining a club. Could be a book club, a running club, a cooking club. In fact, I'm actually going to be joining a writing club, writing something I'm passionate about. So I would love to join a club where I can really, be virtual and, learn different things and have inspiration from different people. Networking events, look on Eventbrite or Meetup. Meetup.com. There's actually a way where you can search your local area and certain, uh, categories, so maybe you want a networking event. In fact, there was like a Toastmasters speaking, learning how to speak. There's entrepreneur groups, all kinds of different things, but that is, a networking group. You could volunteer. In fact, if you look up, greatnonprofits.org, you can look up different places to volunteer. My dog's making noise back there. Mortimer, what are you doing? So anyway, you can look up places to volunteer, greatnonprofits.org. That's the one, because, a lot of times when volunteering, those are people who are, totally, in tune with the same things as you, and you can just make friends that way. Join a class or a workshop. In fact, a local community college. I used to get the little pamphlet all the time that said all the different classes. That is such a cool way to meet all different kinds of people in all walks of life. So community college, you can check those out. They have lots of like individual classes you can do, such as like, I know my mom did glass blowing and glass art at the community college in Salem, New Jersey. And then there's like pottery classes. There's all different kinds of classes. You can also go to classbento.com. And that's CLASS Bento, BENTO.com. Those are all different kinds of artisan classes. And they're not only, right, you can actually do them online, but you can also do them locally. And that's classbento.com. I actually recently came across that one. I already talked about writing groups. You can look to forming relationships in online communities. So many different ways to make friends, guys. Just get out there, put yourself out there, right? It's definitely a little uncomfortable at first, but if it benefits you to start out on the line at first and kind of dip your toes out there, and then maybe move to in person, that's absolutely fine. Okay. Now I want to dive into the next topic, right? So now we know where to go to make friends. Well, what are some tips on how to be a good friend? Okay. So some of these are random. I just kind of compiled a bunch of different information, points from a lot of different areas. And, some of those are, one thing to keep in mind is being a good communicator. Okay. And whenever it comes to communication, it's not just about talking, it's about listening. In fact, that was one of my greatest, really like things that I needed to work on as a leader was my communication skills, and it was my listening. I needed to listen more. So anyway, I'm carrying this with me to making friends and being a better friend. So be a good listener, okay? But also communicate. If something bothers you or annoys you, or you're like, oh my God, be open, share it, talk to somebody, and be honest, be open and honest. If you have someone who is like super offended by you just saying, hey, it was kind of like just kind of off-putting when you said this or did this. If somebody's going to get their back up and get defensive and go down a weird path after that, probably not going to be, the best friend for you. So I think it's important just to be open and honest and real with people. Because, if you're sitting over here wondering why the heck that person's the way that they are, why that person never wants that, all these different things, like you're not never going to get anywhere. Right. So if you expect something, or if you are looking for something or wanting something, communicate. Another thing around communication is, if you are the person who is always waiting to be invited, right? You're always sitting there going, oh, I never get invited to things. Why don't you actually start inviting people to things? Okay. Did you ever think about that? Like maybe they're over there waiting for the same thing. There's people who are initiators and there are people who are not initiators, but, become an initiator, make things happen. The other tip is, and this is important to keep in mind, even with your significant other or, any close friends, when people are stressed, they're less likely to listen. Okay. You need to acknowledge this. So if you attack somebody as soon as they come home, from a long day, a hard day, and you're like dropping all kinds of stuff on them, they're probably not going to be the best at listening. Sometimes when people are stressed or going through a lot, again, stop talking. And that's a time where you can kind of sit on, your hands and not talk and listen and just say, well, hey, what went on? What's going on? And sometimes that's what those people need. So people are stressed. Don't drop a lot of stuff on them. They're probably not listening. The other one is don't be an over giver and an over expector. Okay. I've met a lot of people like this. In fact, I've kind of my whole life, I've been kind of bobbing and weaving and again, trying to figure out, okay, well, how can I be a better friend? How can I do this? How can I do that? I definitely don't know everything. I don't know a lot of things. Okay. But what I do know is I have met a lot of people who are like over giving, meaning like they do all these things that you don't ask them to. And then they get kind of upset. And I've seen it behind the scenes, them get upset at these other people because they've done all these things and they're not reciprocating. Well, you should do good things and not always accept reciprocation. But that brings me to my next point is in friendship, it's kind of like you have to make sure that it's balanced. Okay. And this is again in relationships as well. There should be deposits and withdrawals. Right. So if you're an overgiver and an over expector and you're always expecting, you're like, oh my gosh, nobody's ever, whatever, pump the brakes and you can communicate. You can say, hey, I always feel like I'm inviting you places. Like, do you want to hang out? Like, do you want to, whatever? You can bring that to people's attention, but you got to remember, you don't want to be that person who's always needy and always talking about themselves and always jumping on a call and saying, oh my God, you got to be obviously open and willing to learn and listen and hear people as well. So again, make sure there is a balance of, you listening and then also, that deposit and that withdrawal. The other one is, be kind. In fact, they say that, kindness and practicing kindness makes you a better partner, a better friend, even improves your health. So if you're a kinder person, it's just better all around. So that's one thing that I'm a huge advocate for. I think my Facebook cover right now says be the kindest person you know. Like we need to spread kindness because yes, you can have a crappy day. Yes, you can be depressed. Yes, you can feel, whatever, but you can still be nice to people. You don't have to walk around with this giant smile on your face all the time. We all have rough days, but be nice to people. What is the benefit of walking around and being nasty and mean and awful and whatever? It's not good. Okay. So, another tip, whenever it comes to friendship and things like that, I thought this was really cool. So, conversation, having good conversation. There's an app, you can actually download on your phone. It is called Sparks. And the app, you can even set it to send you conversation topics throughout the day. I thought this was really neat because, let's say like in the morning, for example, my husband and I, we work out, and I always kind of just, I'm like, I have a topic of the day and I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And like, I'll just literally drop some random topic on him. I'll say like, hey, what do you think about, men dating younger women or whatever? And we'll just like go down this rabbit hole talking about a certain topic. And it's so much fun. So this app will basically you can set it for whatever time, like 9 o'clock, and do it 5 times a day or whatever. And it'll send you a question. So it's a kind of a neat way to kind of self-reflect and think about things. And I think kind of be present as well. So that app again is called Sparks, but you can also use it to share with friends, have cool conversation. Another thing there for conversation, my husband and I love the Bestself. There's lots of different cards, conversation cards. If you go on Amazon, you can order. In fact, I should do like a total like review. I have like over 20, 20 different conversation card decks. Should totally do a review of that actually. But anyway, that's actually, I contribute that to why we have such a strong, and wonderful relationship, because those conversation cards and asking questions on those cards have really peeled back the layers for us and really prompted us to have such amazing conversation with each other. And, it had us asking questions. And I remember we always brought them on dates when we first started dating, and it just really kept the conversation flowing. It kept us diving deeper into, us as people, and, made us even deeper, more deeply connected. So anyway, I'm a huge advocate for conversation cards. So I always have some in my car. I always, bring some like when Scott and I have date night, just because it makes things so much fun. So let's dive in now to what you can do with your friends, okay? Because a lot of questions pop up where it's like, well, what are things to do? I have no idea what we should do. So just kind of putting this out there that when you plan adventures, okay, I don't just mean like just plan stuff, like call it an adventure, right? When we plan adventures, it's shown that anticipation is psychologically proven to boost mood and reduce stress. When you create unique experiences and you tap into your inner child, it just creates just such wonderful, amazing, moments and experiences. So, recently I actually, my friend Jill, who I'm going to get her on to do an episode, I want to interview her. She is the most amazing adventure planner, and just I mean, she plans amazing trips. She has like itineraries, and there's like a dinner plan and an adventure plan and all kinds of things like mapped out. She just does an amazing job with it. And she comes up with the coolest places to go. And she recently invited me to see the play Jagged Little Pill that was playing at the Kimmel Center in Philadelphia. And all I can tell you is, I mean, what she planned, it was the food. The place was absolutely amazing. It was Volver, delicious food. And then we went and we watched the show. It like rocked my world, like literally my soul. It was like, I don't even know what happened, but it was just such an amazing experience that I will never forget. And it was something I was really looking forward to. So that's just an example of like a little adventure that, Jill helped make happen. And I would have otherwise probably never done that. And it was such a cool experience. So I'm going to share with you some really cool ideas that I got from a website. It's actually called thescienceofpeople.com. And I'm going to go through these. And again, you guys can replay, watch this, video over and over again. You can, make sure to subscribe, but also make sure to bookmark or save this because you might run out of ideas and you want to come back to this and remember what things, I talked about. So one cool thing I do invite you to check out, and I'll drop this in the links as well, is a website called atlasobscura.com/things to do. And the reason why I share this website is it's actually a website devoted to cool, hidden, and unusual things to do around, I think it is the United States though. So keep in mind, I think it's just the United States. But you can type in your state and it'll come up with tons of really cool random hidden things to do, which I think is super awesome. So, all right, get ready. I'm going to go through now all the different like fun ideas of things that you can do with a friend. So the way that you can start planning these things could be, picking out a particular day, reaching out to, a couple friends, could be one friend, could be a couple. But anyway, so I'm going to dive in now. So the first one is thrift store or antiquing. So much fun. Okay, guys, I've already done this probably twice this year. I actually got a little map that I found in one of the antique stores that had all the antique stores in this local area all, on this map. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we could go on an antiquing tour. And so for my mom's birthday, my sister-in-law and I actually got together and we went to a few different antique places, and I ended up finding a first edition Moby Dick book, which I just thought was super, super cool. I also found some Roseville ceramics. I'm a huge fan of Roseville. If you haven't checked it out, totally check it out. Love the colors, love using them as planters for my pots. But anyway, make it fun. What's the weirdest stuff you could find? Take pictures. In fact, we always do that. There's a Facebook group called Weird. I think it's like weird secondhand finds or something. There's like a million people in the group. Totally recommend checking it out. But how fun is it when you can actually go out and have something in mind that you want to check out? The next one is you can dress up and go to a local art museum. Like, how fun is it to actually have something to dress up for, right? You can do super like dress up in a cute little, black cocktail dress and go bop around and go to a local art museum. And maybe, right, you pick out a certain artist and you pick out some certain things and you chat about how you interpret the art, right? That's the one fun thing about art is, it's kind of different to everybody. So I think that that's a fun thing to do. Attend a conference. So like a TED talk, a speech, something like that. You can find them on eventbrite.com. And that's spelled Brite. But anyway, you can attend a conference and again, just great chat afterwards about, your key takeaways, things that you experienced. When you can be with someone and learn together, that creates amazing and wonderful experiences. Cook together, have a music night with a, special like cooking, maybe theme or whatever, and you make a special dessert and, whatever. So cook together. My friend, well, actually, I mean, she came over. This was just the end of last year, and she is now vegan and she's gluten free. And I was asking her for recipes, and she's like, hey, how about I come over? We use some basil from the garden. I'll make pesto and we'll actually whip up, a gluten free, vegan, dairy free, meal, and we'll have fun. And it was so fun. And we literally used all the herbs from the garden and had a good time. So, anyway, that was so much fun. So, you can cook together. Paint and sip. You can even YouTube like this and do it at home. You could do a train for a 5K together. You can go to runsignup.com or active.com to find groups, things like that. Visit a botanical garden. So I know locally, I'm in New Jersey. There's a place in PA called Longwood Gardens. There's also a place, it's not a botanical garden, but it's a really cool place called Grounds for Sculpture that you can visit that has lots of cool sculpture and statues, but they do have very pretty plants and stuff. But anyway, so visit a botanical garden. You could do hiking. So alltrails.com, ALL trails, TRAILS.com. You can pick different places to hike and then take a picture at the top, have fun with it. You can even start a vlog with a friend, for hiking and share the like coolest hiking spots in your area. Now, last year, I'm sorry, this is 2 years ago at this point. I actually went hiking with my husband's stepmom, and I ended up getting chiggers. And if you guys don't know what those are, it's like bugs that oh God, I don't even want to say it, but anyway, look it up. Chiggers, it's disgusting. And I have not been hiking since. So that's kind of been on my back burner. I love nature so much, but that really put me off. It's like food poisoning. kind of like when you have that bad experience and you just like, nope, I'm not over it yet. So I am not over it yet. So I'm not going to be hiking anytime soon, but I do recommend, obviously, do all the things to prevent that from happening. But definitely check out alltrails.com to find some really cool places. You can play team sports. So, you can go on Meetup, Club Waka, which is CLUBWAKA. You can find local sports, team sports, that kind of thing. I really want to play pickleball. I've never played, don't know where to go play it, don't know anyone who's playing it. But you know what? If I probably threw something out there on a local yard sale site or a local community, I'm sure I could find some more information about it. But anyway, so pickleball is something that I think I want to get into. You could do a dance class. You could do an open mic night, whether you're going to be in it or just attend it. In fact, there's a place in New Hope I absolutely love, has an open mic night. Their name is Carla's with a K. And again, that's in New Hope, Pennsylvania. They have a really cool open mic night. It's just so fun to just be there and see people and experience and be there with other people. So anyway, just an idea of that. You could start a podcast together with a friend. In fact, my friend Kate and I, we used to do Hey Girl, Hey, it was like a little like Facebook Live channel. But I'm hoping to get her on, obviously, this YouTube channel so then we can start having those chats again. But, do stuff together. Like, sometimes your conversations and the things that your friends are good at or have a lot of, knowledge about can make for a really fun and engaging channel. So you can also plan a garden together. Great example of this. My sister actually lives way, way up north, and her husband actually planted in their community garden. So I didn't even know this was a thing, but it's this like patch of land where you can pay a certain amount and everybody just plants, in this community garden. It was so beautiful. They had so many different types of plants. And she said it was just so therapeutic going out there and planting and just feeling like, oh my gosh, like, see these plants grow and picking the tomatoes and so on and so forth. So plant a garden together. You could do cooking classes. In fact, I know at the mall, there's a place, Williams Sonoma, I think. Maybe it's not that, but maybe it is. But they actually have cooking classes that you can go to. Why not? Have fun, go do cooking classes, or, you can look online and virtually, you can look at like all the different cooking classes that they have and they offer virtually. Get it on your little iPad or whatever, you use to, check out videos, and you can stream live with somebody teaching you how to cook. And again, do that with friends, one or more. Virtual traveling. I actually love this idea and I want to plan something. I kind of want to like theme out and have like a fun, I don't know, like plan a fun date night. But I want to plan a VR tour or virtual tour of like the Grand Canyon. So I plan on going to the Grand Canyon in real life, of course, but I would love to also pick out some different places where I haven't been, but would always like to go and do it like virtually. There's a lot of like 360 tours where literally you can go and look up and down and all around, and it's like you're there. Now, of course, it is nowhere near close to being like you're, really there. But how neat would that be just to be able to experience something like that and, share it together and go, all right, guys, let's go. Let's do a little tour of, wherever. And you can literally walk down and look around. So yeah, so a VR tour, I think that would be really cool. Next is one of my like, yes, so favorites. Scott and I, my husband, have already started this, but start a vinyl collection. You can swap albums, you can, buy your favorites, you can be on the hunt for different things. I absolutely love, so in New Jersey, there is a record museum. It's actually close to where we live, and it's amazing. It has tons of records. This guy, I mean, literally owns this like carpet, like a huge carpet store, and then on the upstairs the entire thing is just like a record museum and a record store, and I think he does like live music and stuff like that, but highly recommend checking it out. It's called like the Record Museum or something like that. But anyway, you can start a vinyl collection. I love the idea. Okay, I am very like, have that ADD brain where I'm kind of like, I used to fast forward songs like this, right? This is how I would listen to songs. I'd be like listening to the first 3 seconds and then I would fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. It was so obnoxious. I love the idea of putting on a vinyl record and starting it and playing it to the end. And just being able to experiencing, oh my God, experience it in that way. So anyway, so that's just an idea of something that you can do. Throw a themed dinner party, right? We're talking like decor, music, outfits, recipes, all kinds of different, things that you can do around a theme. I'm sure you've seen it on movies before. You can throw your own. You don't have to wait for somebody to invite you, okay? Music festivals, right? If you wanna go to a music festival, my best friend and I did that, a long time ago. I think we went to, like, Dave Matthews or something like that. But it was a blasty blast. Be foodie reviewers. Ooh, I love this one. So, you and a friend could decide, right? Or you could even create a group where you have a mission to try to get out and experience as many restaurants in your area as possible. And you rate them on flavor, texture, presentation. Maybe you compare and rank your favorites. And you could start a YouTube channel or a blog or something like that where you share your favorites. But how fun is that to go and actually like, all right, well, I'm going to try an appetizer. I'm going to try, a main this, a main that, and have fun with it. So be a foodie reviewer, have a good time with it. That I love. I think that's going to be fun. Adult scavenger hunt. So there is a website and actually an app called Let's Roam. You can go on and they actually have pre-created scavenger hunts in all different, and in fact, in most of the major cities. So you could literally plan a trip and say, hey guys, let's go on a scavenger hunt, and then download the app and then use it for your scavenger hunt. So super cool, super fun, and you can have a good time with it. Another fun thing to do is create vision boards. We actually did this years ago and I thought it was so much fun. We got everybody together, a big group of people. We talked about our goals for the year and everybody brought like 5 magazines that you could cut out from, glue, scissors, whatever. And then we had food and we had a good time. And again, you're like all setting your vision for the upcoming year. And that was just a really good time. I think that's a lot of fun. And you don't necessarily just have to do that at the beginning of the year. You could do it in the middle of the year, kind of like a recalibrate and check in. And what are your big goals for whatever the rest of the half of the year? You could do anything like that. Next, oh my gosh, I want to do this so bad. Board game night, right? You could do a board game night and then you could also do like a board game tournament. In fact, my brother and we used to do a Tetris tournament. And yes, that's not a board game, it's a video game, but like we had so much fun. And I think the winner got like a broken crazy 8 ball. I just thought that was so much fun. So anyway, you could do like a Scrabble tournament, something like that. Anyway, but create a board game night. You could do poker night, something like that. But again, just a way for you to have fun, get friends together. You could go bike riding. You could learn a new language together. You could start a movie club. I actually love that idea. Maybe watch like the top 100 movies of all time or something like that, and then jump on a, call to discuss. You could do craft night, go to the beach, pottery class, go to a farmer's market, wine tasting, coffee date, a brunch, right? There's lots of different ideas that you can do. So I do recommend, again, save this video, make sure you hit subscribe, but go back to it whenever you need some ideas. Now, if you need some ideas how to foster and grow, your friendships, you can share a calendar, right? I mentioned earlier how important it is to actually plan, hanging out with people, be intentional about it. So you can share like a Google Calendar. In fact, if you just sign up for Google Calendar or you have a Gmail account already, surprise, you have Google Calendar as well. Open up your calendar and you can actually create a new calendar and title it Social Calendar. And you can share it with people. You can also invite people. So make sure you get your friends' names and their email addresses. And that's a fun way that you can actually start getting it on the calendar and having it in one place. The other thing to keep in mind is remember key dates and birthdays. So I decided last year that I wanted to be a better person and a better friend and a better family member because I keep forgetting people's birthdays and special events and things like that. So I downloaded an app. It's called HIP Plus, HIP Plus, and it's a little hippo icon, and it has the ability to put everybody's birthdays, anniversaries, key dates, things like that in my phone. And then every time it's going to be their birthday in about like 5 days, or I can set it to whatever notification I want, I can set it and then it will remind me. And then that way I can either get a card, I can reach out, I can touch base with people. It just makes it, oh my gosh, so much better because it's out of your head and it's, in an app that kind of manages that for you. I do think there is a fee with that one, but it's been really worth it. And I really appreciate that it reminds me of everyone's birthdays. The other one is, write down a list of friends you'd like to reconnect or connect with and make plans, right? Reach out. Hey, oh my gosh, we haven't hung out in forever. Would love to reconnect. Would you be open for grabbing dinner or, whatever it is, reaching out to people. So anyway, so this is pretty much a jam-packed session. I know we covered a lot. We talked about the study at Harvard. We talked about a lot of different things. I hope at this point you understand how important relationships are, right? So if you're finding yourself kind of isolating, not getting out there, not doing anything, I challenge you to put yourself out there a little bit and think of how you can actually start to make connections and really put yourself out there. Again, could be with friends, could be family, could be people who you were once connected with that you want to rekindle that relationship. Especially, since we've gone through COVID and we're kind of hopefully, obviously on the other side of that. Want you guys to share, how do you have fun with friends? How do you build relationships? And share in the comments your thoughts. Would love to hear more. So, yeah, I'll catch you later.